with another video. Thank you all so much for watching. So this video is about the possibility of Texas flipping blue. Now, it hasn't happened. It didn't flip in 2020. There were a lot of people that said, "Hey, it might, it might have flipped." It ultimately did not. A lot of people are talking about maybe it'll flip in 24, but I don't know. I don't think that'll happen, honestly. I think it'll be probably 2028. So let's look at the Texas voting history. So ultimately, this is the website 270 to win. Texas had 38 votes in 2020, but due to the census census makes sure that states are allocated seats in the House according to population increase or decrease. So Texas now has 40. So in the past 12 election cycles, Republicans have won 11 times in Texas. The last time Texas voted blue was Jimmy Carter, 1976. And then it flipped in 1980 to Reagan, and then pretty consistently from the 1980s to the early to mid 2000s, early 2010s, gotten consistently 55%, 60, 55. 1992 is an exception. You had Ross Perot here. The fact that Texas was won by 3.5 percentage points in 1992 is kind of crazy. But Texas has voted consistently blue with margins in the mid 50s, low 60s. It's been a pretty solid stronghold for Republicans since the 1980s. However, the 2020 census population of 29 million was up from 4 million, so Texas is growing, the state's growing pretty rapidly. So in terms of electoral college votes, California is still the biggest with 54, but Texas is getting huge. It has 40, and it is the second biggest state in terms of vote share by electoral college in the country. Florida is third, and New York is fourth with 28. However, if you look at the percentages on the Democratic side, it was pretty atrocious for them in the 1980s, 1990s, early 2000s, but then got back up into the, 43, 41, 42, and then by 2020, Joe Biden got 46.5%, which is the highest the Democrat has gotten in the state in a very long time. Jimmy Carter got 51.1%. Democrats hadn't breached 45% of the electorate in Texas ever since that. So 46.5%, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but if you are looking at it comparatively. So ultimately Texas voted pretty blue through the end of the Civil War through the early 1960s, with a handful of exceptions. Eisenhower in 52 and 56, and then Nixon. And then when Reagan came along, it flipped solidly red and has stayed red ever since. Senate voting history is more or less the same with the exception. There's, House voting record, majority red. You got some Democrats in there as well. Governor's pretty red as well. However, we're going to shoot over to the numbers. So let's look at 2020 to 2016. 2016, Donald Trump won 4.6 million votes. Hillary won 3.8 million votes. Which, 52 to 43. But I just want you to take a look at the massive jump from 3.8 for the Democrat candidate Hillary Clinton in 2016 to 5.2. 5.2 jump from 3.8. That's a lot. That's 1.4 million more votes from one election year to another. Now, Trump ultimately got 1.2 million. That's considerable. But if we just look at the trend from, say, 2000, George Bush, Al Gore, 2.4 million for the Democrat, Al Gore. 2004, John Kerry got 2.8 million. Barack Obama got 3.5. Barack Obama in 2012 got 3.3, a decrease in votes. That, in comparison, was still about a million more than what the Democratic candidate Al Gore got in 2000. Hillary got 3.8, and then Joe Biden in 2020 got 5.2 million. Trump got 5.8 in comparison to what he got, 4.6. So Texas is growing. Obviously, Republicans did good year to year, 2016 to 2020. Joe Biden got 5.2, while Hillary got 3.8, shooting up from 43.24% of the population of Texas who voted for you to 46.48. Now, ultimately, I don't think Texas will go blue in 2024, but there's a very real possibility that it goes blue in 2028. Now, here is the map of 2020. Joe Biden won all these blue states, plus a congressional district in Nebraska. Won Georgia, won Pennsylvania, won all these mid-Atlantic New England states. Again, Maine and Nebraska do their congressional districts weird. I think Trump ultimately won the 2nd district, while it was the opposite in Nebraska, with Biden winning 1 district. So this is pretty much the map for 2020. You have all these states in red voting for Trump, all the states in blue voting for Biden. Now, if this holds in 2024, or there's some leeway, if Texas flips, that's 40 votes. You see that? You went from Republicans had 235 votes, and they went down to 195. And Democrats going from 303 to 343. Now, Republicans need Texas. They really do. Because if they're to remain competitive at the national level in terms of presidential, you need every vote you can get. And if you don't have 40 votes of the 235 you need, then you're making it so much more difficult, almost impossible to win nationally. Because you still have Ohio, North Carolina was close, Georgia was close, Arizona was close. The way Republicans win at the national level is you basically have to repeat 2016. You have to win Arizona, you have to win Texas, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, and just one of the Midwest upper industrial states. That could be Wisconsin. That'll get you there. It could be Michigan. That can get you there. Or it could be Pennsylvania. That'll get you over the top. But for Republicans to win at the national level, they have to have Texas's 40. We're gonna do for my sanity. So this is the 2016 map in terms of blue states and red states overlaid on the present map in terms of votes. If Hillary had won Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, she'd gotten the presidency at 276. She did not. Ultimately, this was the map. This is the actual map that actually happened in 2016. If Hillary won those 3 states, she would have won the presidency at 276. She did not win those 3 states. Trump won those 3, and ultimately Trump won at 306 to 232. Now, ultimately Biden won those states back in 2020, but just take Hillary's blue states in 2016 at 232 votes, and you just add Texas. Just Texas, not including Arizona, not including Georgia, or Pennsylvania, or Michigan, or Wisconsin. Just Texas added on to 2016's blue states gets you to 272. Now, again, if you take 2020, where you won all these 3 states, plus Georgia, plus Arizona, and then on top of that you add Texas, then the Democrats get up to 343. Now, will Texas go blue in 2024? I don't think so. I think there's still a lot of Republicans, in Texas that'll make it go red. But I think in 2028, it's a very real possibility that Texas goes blue for the first time in about 40 years. The demographics are shifting, the population is growing, and that is a very real possibility that Texas goes blue. Again, probably not in 2024, but very real possibility in 2028. So I find that fascinating because when you think Texas in politics, you think Republican. It's been Republican for a long time. So the fact that Texas could at some point potentially go blue is quite literally a political earthquake, which is crazy to say. So we're going to clear that map. Blue Texas at 40 votes for the Democrats. That's a really, difficult situation for Republicans because where do you make up those 40 votes? So, Blue Texas, very real possibility. So, with that being said, that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Deuces.